I think we might be live. Let's see if it shows up on the old channel here. Yep, it shows up. Perfect. All right, let's pop out the old chat. And we'll do this. Hopefully we'll have a decent stream. Let me know if the audio is okay. I'm going to try and keep this sort of out of frame, but I changed over microphone, so we'll see. Boost it up a little bit. All right. So what are we going to do tonight? A few of my Facebook friends I've seen where there's been some questions. How do you paint trees? How do you paint clouds? People having trouble painting mountains. I can't promise this is going to be great. I don't really have a grand plan in mind on what exactly to paint, but got our canvas here. It's primed, nothing on it. It's dry at the moment. We'll put the liquid white on, and for you new painters, this first step with your medium is probably the most important and probably the biggest issue that most new painters are going to run into, and that's using too much medium. So I'm going to show you a couple ways that you can make sure you've got just the right amount. So if this is something you want to do, something you want to learn, something you want to learn more, let's get to work. And doing this, it takes a little bit of feel. It takes practice. It takes time. It takes experience. But there are a couple things you can do to basically foolproof it, and you'll get it right every time. So I got my gloves on. I've got my liquid white at the focus camera. I've got my liquid white here. I'm gonna grab my brushes and we'll get started. I'll zoom the camera in so you can see what's going on up there on the canvas. Sorry if I get in the way. I'm producer, cameraman, everything. So give me a little bit of a break. So I'm doing this by myself. So here we go. Let's zoom in on the canvas. And it'll focus here in a second. There we go. Focus. There we go. All right. Let's get started. Liquid white. And I'm going to pick a fairly clean brush. There we go. That one's fairly clean. When I say fairly clean, I mean it doesn't have a bunch of pigment left over in it. Or I shouldn't even say a bunch, but it doesn't have some pigment left over in it. Give our liquid white a little shake there. And you guys have seen me do this before. Tips of your brush, tips of your bristles. We're not dipping halfway down the bucket there. You spread a little bit out in a couple of different places. You don't want to leave this stuff thick. You want it thin. I repeat, you want this stuff thin. Let's move that before it goes flying off on the floor. And I get going a little crazy on my easel and things like to fall. So. You see okay? taking those thicker areas. I'm just scrub it. Scrub it like you mean it. That got a little thick, but that's all right. That's probably about all we're gonna really need. A little hair there from all the scrubbing. Now I have some lights on above me here. And what I'll do is I'll duck my head down and look back up at the canvas, looking, kind of letting the light glare off of it to see if there's any places I missed. I see a few hairs floating around, but that's okay. We'll lift them off in just a second. Now I could have used liquid clear. I don't really like the liquid black very much. Not for coating a canvas. It gets a little kind of gross. All right, so I'm just looking at the glare, trying to figure it out. Figure out where I've got thin spots, where I've got thick spots, and you can tell. Little hair. And all I'm doing when I see these little hairs is just take the corner of the brush and just give it just a little tiny flick, and it pops right off. And anytime you're painting, if you get a hair, you just do the same thing, and then blend it right out. All right. I think that's about all of them there. Oh, one more. All right. Then I've got my roll of shop towel down there, and I just wipe the brush on it. And just go right back over it again. Sometimes they don't want to lift off, so you got to go at them a couple times. All right, we'll set that brush down off to the side. I'm wearing gloves because I don't like to get this crap on my hands. But just find a random spot and touch it. You should get just a little bit of paint. If you're doing bare fingers, it should just barely cover your fingertip or your fingerprint. So you should be able to see your fingerprint. Now, for you new painters, these blue paper towels that you get in the automotive section, these are your best friends. Because most of the time, like I said before, most of the problems come from too much medium down on the canvas. So I'm going to take one of these towels. I'm just going to lightly wipe over. And we'll lift some of that off. And that leaves you with about the perfect amount. Now, one thing you didn't see was a whole bunch of streaks forming or anything like that. If I had way too much on there, that's what you would see. But that's just to show you that this is a viable solution, and this is going to leave you with about the right amount left. All right. So let's look at the palette here. Let's get it in frame. We got titanium white, Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, dark sienna, Van Dyke brown, sap green, cad yellow, yellow ochre, Indian yellow, and red. These are gambling colors, except for this one. That one's actually, the dark sienna is a Bob Ross. I actually like that sienna. Most of the rest of them I don't like. They're too red. So what we're going to do We're just gonna grab that old brush that we used for the liquid white, and I'm just gonna wipe it out on my roll of shop towel here. We gotta go through all the cleaning crap. Just wiping it out is good, plenty good enough. So we got it wiped out. We're gonna start. We're gonna make just a pretty basic sky. We're not gonna go super crazy or anything. But I'm going to show you how to make some clouds. So we're going to go into some Indian yellow. So if you're painting along, pull you out a little Indian yellow, tap it on the brush, nice and even. And we're going to come in here, somewhere about in here. We're just going to give us a little yellow, orange in the sky. As Bill Alexander would say, a little happy glow. Well, white, and as Bill would say, white and Indian yellow make sunshine. So I'm just going to kind of give the whole sky a little bit of yellow here. Again, just kind of play around a little bit. It's okay. And I used less pressure up top and more pressure in the middle because that's where my concentration of yellow is. And I'm just going to, still using the same brush, I'm going to go right into some yellow ochre. And that's going to give us, with the yellow ochre and the Indian yellow, it's going to give us a nice, pretty gold. Hey, Jason. So the liquid white, it makes the canvas wet, and it makes it to where we can blend colors right on the canvas. So we're not we do mix colors a little bit on the palette, but we can do a lot of mixing right on the canvas. So this style is called wet and wet. So we start out with a wet canvas, which is a medium based canvas, or a medium on the canvas that allows us to apply wet paint and continue applying layers. So here we go, little yellow ochre, and we're just gonna, we'll just pick a little spot. Jump over on this side here. Maybe I'm not blocking too much. There we go. Come back on this side. Now the liquid white also dilutes your colors. So, and when I say dilutes them, it lightens them up. So if this were on a liquid clear, if it were on a clear medium, this yellow here, this yellow area would be a little more orange. And you don't always have to use those little crisscross strokes. You can come in and you can give some little streaks. We're painting the sky. There's no rules really for the sky except for don't make a green sky. Now, if we wanted a little water in this painting, I would say we come in here, start from the outside and work in. I'd say we do this here. Keep your strokes kind of level, and just come straight across. And maybe we'll put a little water in this one. I don't know. And we're going to leave that light place. We'll blend that out in a few minutes. Now, we're gonna go right into some alizarin crimson. Again, same brush. We had the yellow ochre and the Indian yellow on. Pull a little bit out. Tap the brush. And we're going to come in here. We're going to hit these corners. And then we're going to kind of, the tops and kind of the corners. Same here. And then we'll blend it all out. So. And I'm just using little crisscross strokes. I'm kind of leaving it lighter in the middle and grab a little more paint here. We'll start on this corner here. We're going to let this kind of mix down in with that yellow ochre. It's going to kind of turn orange. That's okay. Same over here. Oops. Back here. All right. Grab a little more crimson. I'm going to start on the outside at the bottom. Maybe we'll add just a little bit of blue to that, Prussian blue, just a little bit, not a lot. I'm going to actually go back into that crimson because I want to just to darken that crimson down a little bit, and I'm using the blue to do it. And it's going to purple it a little bit. That's okay. It's still kind of to the red side. We'll put a little of that down here. Like I said, I don't know what we're gonna do yet, so I'm just kind of making it up as I go. I'm gonna grab a clean brush. We're gonna start blending. Now, here's again for you newer painters. I didn't use a lot of paint here. There's just enough to put some pigment down. We don't have any thick paint anywhere on the canvas. And when we start to blend this out, we're going to start in this area here. And we're going to, actually, we may just do the water first. And we're going to do down to about here. And then we'll come and start blending this area out. Once we go out, we don't bring the brush back in here. Okay? That's important because then you'll just get this color mixing in. You're going to get brown. So purple and yellow make brown, and quite frankly, it's an ugly brown. I think. I mean, it has its uses, but it's kind of an ugly brown. So we're just going to use our little crisscross strokes just kind of blend this out. All right. All right. Down here we go straight across. Up here we do our little crisscross strokes. Okay. And my goal here is to blend this area out where the red or where that crimson meets. And I don't want to see a color transition. I just want it to go from one color right to the next. Just want it smooth. And then we're going to just keep blending up. And yep, we got our water down here. We got to blend. And I'm using a fair amount of pressure down here because I want this to just blend. There we go. I think there we go. Saw a little something there I didn't like, so I used my little crisscross strokes to kind of knock that down and then came back across. All right. Now, we're going to paint us some little clouds. And I'm going to grab the old fan brush. This is a Bob Ross number 6 fan brush. You can use a filbert brush. You can use a 1-inch brush. You can use a 2-inch brush. You can use half round. You can use full round or the full size round. You can use the foliage brush. It doesn't matter what brush you use for clouds. I like fan brush. I've used all the other ones, but I just kind of like fan brush. So I'm gonna grab a touch of that red. All right, just a touch. I'm gonna grab some white. And I'm gonna go for some fairly pink clouds tonight. Maybe we'll grab a little blue and make them a little purple. Purple them up a little bit. Ooh, that's bright. That's bright. All right. So these are going to be our slightly more distant clouds. All right. So another common mistake, not using enough paint. There's a good bit of paint on there. But all we're going to use is the corner. So I'm going to pick a corner of the brush. And by corner, I mean here. Here or here. I'm going to pick a corner. And I'm just going to use just the corner of the brush. And hold the brush out a little bit. Don't hold it down in here. We're not drawing details. We're making clouds. Sorry, my dog shut my door. We're drawing cloud. We're painting clouds. We're not painting details. So wherever you want your cloud to be, we're going to start right here. Now we're just going to let it dance. We're just making little circles. That's all it is, just little bitty circles. And you can see that cloud's not showing up very well. because my pink got a little dark on me. That's okay. Here's your lesson in contrast. This is dark. This is dark. Dark on dark. You can't really see it. That's okay. We'll fix that. We will fix it. And I'll show you how to fix it. But we're going to keep going with this pink color. Now we got us. Notice, I don't really care how it looks, how it's shaped. It's just a cloud. It's just floating up there happy and free. We'll come over here. Notice I just flipped the brush over, but I'm still just using the corner of the brush. We're just drawing little circles. That's all we're doing, just drawing little circles. Grab some more paint. Here we got a little guy down here. Who knows? That guy might get covered up. And you can make them as big and full as you want to make them, fluffy and whatnot. You wanted to make them. I'll tell you what. Let's just turn this guy into a big old giant cloud. Right here in the middle. Why not? Just to show you. Just to show you because we can. Now that's just a big old mess of a cloud. Let's stir him up a little bit more there. So we got a big, huge, giant cloud running right across the top of the canvas. That's okay. And we'll put some little streaky clouds in there. And you want to keep these kind of flat, kind of straight if you can, because they're showing kind of way back off in the distance. Every once in a while they'll have a little tail coming off of them. But you get the idea. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do before I brighten these up and make them come out a little bit more, is I'm going to stir these guys up. Clean, dry brush, right? I'm just going to come in here. I'm just using the very top corner of the brush. Maybe this, maybe that much of the brush. Just the top corner. And I'm just making little circles. We're just stirring these little bad boys up. I probably would have done better on these just to get straight white clouds, but it's all right. Like I said, we'll make it work. Part of the fun in painting is making a mistake and then coming back and fixing it later. And sometimes it works out really good. That's what Bob liked to call happy accidents. And notice I left the tops of these clouds alone. I did not blend the top. I only touched the bottoms. Middles and bottoms. When you're painting clouds, make sure That's what you're doing, is only touching the middles and the bottoms. Now, I'm just going to knock the brush off on it. There we go. Just beat the devil out of it. There we go. And just knocking off the excess paint. Now, I'm going to fluff these guys up a little bit. And this is light, very light. I'm using almost no pressure on the brush. And I'm pulling in a circle. All right? You can kind of see our clouds in there. And then lightly come over them, just real light. And I'm going to push those spooky clouds back in the background. All right. Now, I'm going to wipe my fan brush out. Good enough. I'm a little perplexed here. I'm going to grab some just pure titanium white here. I probably should have used brown for the clouds, come to think of it. But let's see what happens when we just throw some white in here. And again, I'm just doing the same thing, going over those same areas, and I'm just going straight white. And I start picking up too much of the pink underneath, then I'm going back and getting more paint. Again, this is something a lot of new painters are going to have. They're not going to know. Nobody's really shown them. Again, going back, getting more paint. It's turning pink, but that's okay. It's still a lot lighter than what we've got going on up here right now. All right. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like much yet. But now you can see, those clouds start to pop. Start showing up a lot better. And we're going to come and we're going to brighten these guys up a little bit. Here we go. Let's set this brush down. I'm going to grab my little blender brush. We're going to go back to the top corner. We're just going to stir these up again, same way we did before, leaving the tops alone. Stirring them up. I'm going to do this little guy here. Not paint off the brush. And we're going to fluff them. Not paint off the brush again. I'm going to set them down. Light. Barely touching the canvas. A little extra paint up there. That's okay. All right. Now, what we can do, what I am actually going to do, I'm going to grab another clean fan brush this time. And I'm going to grab a little Van Dyke brown. I'm going to grab a little Prussian blue. Now I'm just going to brush mix them. And if you didn't know, brown and blue make what color? Gray. So that gray is going to contrast pretty nice with the pink and the white up here already. Grab a little more paint here. And make sure I got enough. Be able to paint some more clouds here. It's going to take me just a second to get my color the way I want it. There we go. Now we got a gray. Now we're going to come in. We're going to add. So this would basically be little shadows in the clouds. So and just where you think they should live. The clouds. And we want to mix this gray as neutral as possible because we've got that yellow up there. And if you mix it to the blue side and you hit the yellow, you're going to get green sky. I mean, we could have done purple. Purple would have looked good on this, without a doubt. We could have done like a straight crimson, would have looked good as well. Again, just kind of wherever we think there needs to be a shadow. We're going to hit these little stringy clouds a little bit. There we go. All right, back to our blending. Stir them up. Now I'm stirring up the whole thing here, but I'm still leaving the tops of those clouds, but I'm stirring up the dark, stirring up the gray. I might be even making a mess here. I might have gone and done it. Just created a big old mess. It's possible. You never know. We may have to come back with a little more white, but that's okay. We're getting all kinds of practice making clouds. We're just lightly brushing those guys out. Might paint off the brush again. Let's blend these and let's step back and see what we got here. Yeah, I'm not real happy with it. Not happy at all. So, I'll grab a knife. I'll mix up a gray, black and brown, or black and brown, blue, and Van Dyke, Prussian blue, Van Dyke brown. Oh, a little dark sienna might have snuck in too. That's okay. Good enough. So, like I said, I'm not overly fond of this, so I'm just going to grab some of this gray that I made up right here. It's a lot darker. And I'm going to come in here and make these clouds look a little bit better. Maybe. All right. He needs a little more body to him. Who's this guy? Okay. All right. Good enough. Set that down and grab our brush again. We're just going to stir these up real good. I'm grabbing that white that's up at the tops and it's pulling it down, so we're going to get some gradient in these. So they're naturally going to be a little bit lighter at the top, which is fine. We actually kind of want that. But be careful, this might turn green on us. Just wind them up. Put them in the blender. All right. There we go. Not some paint on here. Get a little bit too much paint on the brush. I'm dragging it everywhere. Fluff them up a little bit. We got a lot of paint on the canvas right now under these clouds. We've got 3 layers plus the sky. So that's a lot of paint that we got to worry about. That could potentially come back to haunt us later. Just be aware of it. All right, let's brush those areas there out. If you blend it like that, you'll eventually blend it pretty much away. So, we've got a decent looking little sky there. Let's catch the top of it. All right. Now on to more fun stuff. And that's how you can make clouds. That's how you can mess up on a cloud, and then you can save yourself. All right. So, I don't know how well I saved myself, but we'll see. All right, mountain time. So I've already got this pile of blue and brown. I'm going to reach over here and just grab a little, grab some crimson, scrape it up. Blue, brown, a little more blue. So it's Prussian blue, Van Dyke brown, alizarin crimson. And I'm going to mix this kind of to the purple side. I want some Purple Mountains Majesty. All right. So we got our color all mixed up here. Pull it out flat. All right. Set your knife down. Scrape up a little roll of paint. Lives right out there on the end of the knife. Big decision time. Where are we going to throw us in a big mountain? Now, I can give you a little composition advice. Don't go right in the middle. So right now, our horizon line is just below center. And which I'm saying this right here, this light bar right here is the horizon line. So right now our horizon sits right below center, which is good. We don't want it sitting on center. And we don't want a mountain or something like that sitting center either. We can have things in the center. We just don't want like the top peak. We don't want that to be the focal point in the center of the canvas. If we wanted to do one big gigantic mountain, let's say that's what we want to do. We want to do a big giant mountain. So I'm going to come here off center slightly. And I'll start with this top. We'll round him a little bit so he's not quite so square or jagged. All right. Maybe he's got there's a little peak right there. Notice I'm not pulling paint all the way down the canvas. And I'm scraping as I go. A little peak right there or something. Oh, we're covering up all those pretty clouds. That's all right. I didn't like how that was going, so I changed it. We'll bump right there. There we go. There's our big old mountain. We're going to come in here. Notice how I didn't paint the whole thing with the knife. I just painted basically the top edge. There's enough paint left on here along with the paint that's underneath. We're going to scrape all that crap away. Along with the paint that's underneath, where we can pull this out. So I'm just going to grab an old dirty brush. Doesn't matter. This is the one we painted the sky and the water with. And we're going to take this brush and we're going to pull this out. We're going to start here. Now we want to leave the edge. All right. I don't know if you can see what I did. But I pulled this side of this major peak down, and then I jumped up here and I pulled this side down, which what that does is it takes that big peak and it pushes it back. Now, if I want to bring it forward, I can just come right back down in front of it just like that. And that pushes that peak into the back. I don't know if you can see the brush strokes clean enough. Let me zoom in here a little tighter. Maybe you guys can see what I'm doing here. All right. So we pulled this down in front, right? This guy comes in front. Now, if I want to bring this peak here out to the front, I can just pull him down like that, and he comes in front of this one. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep it easy. So this is simple. This is just Mountains 101. But use these brush strokes that we're doing here. Use them. They're a great guide so you know how to put your highlights and put your shadows on later. All right. There we go. We got our mountain pulled out. That's all there is to it. That is literally all there is to it. Now, I'll clean my knife off. And we're just going to go right into some of this pink color. Maybe I'll add a little bit of that Indian yellow. We're going to make us a peach color. We got a nice bright peach color here. All right, we're going to pull that out. And this color here is going to be our highlight. Same thing as before, pull it out flat, get your little roll of paint. Now, you got to decide what's your furthest peak. Let me get a little more of this paint here out of that far. Okay, there we go. All right, got a big decision. What's your number one? Where's our light coming from? Is our light coming from this side? If you're right-handed, this side's easier. If you're left-handed, this coming from this side is easier. So right-handed people, light coming from the right hand is easier. Left-handed people, light coming from left hand is easier. So you make your decision. I'm going to make it easy on myself tonight because, again, this is just how to. We're not trying to make I'm not trying to paint a masterpiece or anything like that. I'm just trying to show you guys how to do it. So we're going to pull on the right side. So all my light's going to be coming from this side. So we're going to highlight this side. We're going to shadow the opposite side. So here we go. This is important. No pressure on the knife. When you put the knife on the canvas, use no pressure on it. Just let it float. And you get those nice little paint breaks. It takes practice. And the thing you want to do is hold that knife, hold it tight, hold it loose, let it Let it wiggle in your hands. And now my hands are shaking. All right. There we go. No pressure. No pressure. The canvas is going to take what it wants. I got to get a little bit more paint here. Well, I should have enough white. Be able to finish this off. Grab a little more. If you guys have ever visited the Pacific Northwest or someplace where they have big mountains with snow on them year round, you've seen this. It's called alpenglow. And the mountains actually glow as orange or sometimes red, sometimes, I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. My highlight color turned out a little bit lighter, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm going to use that original color more like almost a mid-tone. There we go. Good enough. Running out of paint again. I'm going to have to reach over and grab some more white because I am out of white. Like I said, we got us a little kind of a simple mountain tonight. And we got a little bit of light. Yeah, we got a little bit of light. Just catching the top of that. Just a little bit catching it. There we go. Good enough. Now, grab a little more white. Now I got to make up a shadow color. Usually when you see mountains like this, your shadow color is like purple. I'm going to just blood out some more white here. Now, crimson and Prussian blue makes a nice pretty purple, nice deep rich purple. And then we're going to grab some white. You don't want it too bright. But we don't want it too dark either. And we're not going to put a whole lot of shadow on this. We'll put a little bit. I normally go probably a little heavier than I should. So here's our color here. It's just it's a bluish purple. And it's considerably darker than this because remember we're looking at contrast. Same as before. A little roll of paint. Now we're gonna come in here. And it's just gonna make those little areas where we put this little shadow color, it's just gonna make them pop a little bit. Now, here's the thing. We're putting some shadow colors in. Whichever way your highlight goes, your shadow color needs to go opposite. So, like my shadow color or my highlight colors came down, shadow colors go opposite down. Make sense? It's the easiest way to remember it. So if you're pulling this way on highlight, this way on shadow. Am I blocking everything? I can't tell. So we want to kind of pull this little peak down. And that's going to kind of make him stand out like he's coming out at us. I want to get a little bit more shadow in here. I'm going to use the small edge of the knife. We'll sneak it in a couple of places. I wanted to darken this area a little bit because that gives us the illusion of a hole in there. So there we go. Now we can come on down, something like that. There we go. And that's it. That's Mountains 101. Now, we gotta take our little dirty brush here, our one that had the sky and we pulled the mountain out with. It's kind of got a little bit of dark color on it. Now we're gonna take this and we're gonna tap this lower area out. We're gonna follow these angles. So if that's going up this way, we're going up this way. When it changes and goes back this way, we're going to tap up this way. And we're just going to follow the angles of the mountain. That's all it is. We're not going to tap hard. It's just, we don't want to destroy, we just want to diffuse. And we're going to pick up some color. That's okay. But you see, you're just following that angle. You're just following these angles here. Now, we get on the other side. And we're pulling out the other way. See? Just like that. Now, knock the paint off the brush. Now we're just going to fluff it up a little bit. Again, following the same angles. That's okay if we got a little paint down here from the mountain. We're gonna pick up a little bit. It's okay. We're using a dirty brush. We're not worried about that because we're going to cover that area. Right? That's it. That's all there is to it. Don't care. We just made a big, huge mountain. All right, we put the knife away. Now, we've got this purple color from the mountain. And I'm going to grab a little more brown because I want to gray that up. So we're just going to grab a little brown, go mix town, and we've got pretty much a black right now is what we've got, and that's okay. I'm gonna swipe out a chunk of that, move it off to the side, and I want some white, and I'm gonna make another gray. And this one's gonna be a little darker gray. Now you can't see what I'm doing here. Let me zoom back out. Remember I said I'm cameraman too, right? Producer, cameraman. All right. Just so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm just making a gray. If I've got too much white, I'll take a little bit of it and go back in my other little pile there. And it's too light, so I want it a little bit darker. Got plenty of paint floating around there. I want to save that big dark pile though. I got some plans for it in a minute. There we go. Now we're getting there. Not too much white. But darker. We'll be adding more colors to that pile anyway, so it's okay. All right. Well, we got our gray. Now we need a fan brush. Oh, look at that. We got a fan brush that's already got some gray on it. We're going to just wipe that out. Don't matter. All right. I'm going to come in here and grab our gray. I think everybody knows how to do these. Hey, Gary, how's it going, man? I think everybody knows how to do these. We're just going to do our little trees, our little faraway trees. So, oh, we got some. Now, if you see what we've done, we've actually raised our horizon. We're now above center. Happens. All right. So we're going to add our little trees in here. Gary, if you're still with me, you've seen this. You know what alpenglow is. We got our trees. We'll go in and we'll fill these in a little bit. I don't want them all the same height. Some taller, some smaller. We're just crunching with the fan brush, right? It's this, basically. That's pretty much what we're doing. So, but in case you don't know, in case this is an area you have a struggle with, and notice I'm flipping my brush over when I start running out of paint, when it starts getting light on me. I mean, I can always go grab some more paint too, but you got another side of the brush. We're only pretty much using one side, so. We'll just yeah, so we just got us a big old northwestern pine, old growth pine forest. We just danced it right across the canvas. All right. Same old brush, same old dirty brush. We're not going to get away from this thing. But again, we don't really need to clean it. I'm just going to go, we're going to tap the bases of these out. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. It don't matter. So what have we done? You just tap these out. So we're going to give them a little lift. Like, kind of like we were doing the clouds. We give them a little lift. And that kind of sets them down in the painting. Right. Now we can come in and kind of, if we want to, just kind of mist this out a little bit. I'm not using a lot of pressure on this, just a little bit. You can do it that way too if you want. You don't have to do the tap thing. If you'd rather do the thing where the tap thing's just easier. Now, we're going to take that same gray color. We're going to grab our black. We're going to go in our black. We're going to darken it. Because if you know how color works, further off is blues and grays. Far in the distance is blue and gray. As you move closer, things get darker. And this time of day, you're not going to see a lot of color until you get really close. So everything's going to be grays and blacks, or grays and darks, gray and dark gray. So now we're going to come in with a darker color, and it's going to be pretty significantly darker. And we're going to bring in our next row of trees here. And this time, we're going to you guys see what's going on here? So you can see the difference in this line and that line, I hope. I don't want this as black as I can make it. I want it dark. I just don't want it black. I still want it gray. And notice I'm pulling them down. I'm just going to kind of fill this in. It doesn't matter, really, because we're gonna pound it out again. About out of dark paint here. That's okay. Now, the one thing you'll notice here is that they're a little shorter in the center, a little taller on the outside. There's rhyme and reason for that. Wait a second here. Grab the old knife. Let's pull up our paint. Let's make up a little bit more here. I need a little more brown. Be right back. Brown got eaten up fast. And what I want to do is I kind of want to darken these front ones a little bit more, just a touch. All right. Yep, little neck. Decided to take a nosedive. All right, we made another big pile of dark paint. So I want to give these guys just a little more shape, a little more definition. That's all. Maybe here we're starting to see a little shape. So I'm not going to worry about super shape here, but I'm going to do let's give a little push here. Just give it a little bit of definition, because these are probably getting a little bit closer to us. And all I'm doing is using the corner of the brush. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. Exactly what I'm doing here. Right? And this is the basis for any of your evergreens. So you have two kinds. You have your up trees and your down trees. I kind of like the up trees better. So if you follow my brush here, we're going to work on this side right here. So I'm just going to follow this little line right here. All right. Touch it with the corner of my brush, and I'm just pushing up a little bit. Not a ton of pressure. All right. Just that's it. Maybe we'll do another one here. We'll say this guy is. We're not looking for a ton of detail here. Just a little bit of shape. That's all. In some of these outer trees. And that's what it's going to do is it's going to trick the eye. And the eye is going to see those shapes all the way through. It's going to start trying to pick up those shapes, and it's going to see things that aren't there. You know, You know, if we wanted to, we could just throw in another little guy here. And again, we're not looking for anything. We're not looking for a ton of detail. Maybe we'll throw another one in. Give you good practice. Now we'll throw one in right here. You're not going to see the whole tree. You're just going to see little bits and bobs of it, right? Because these are still pretty far away. And you don't have to. I mean, if you wanted to sit here and mark down every little tree like that, you could, but just a few here and there. That's all you need to do. See? But you can see how much that adds just to that little grove of trees there. All right, we're done with these. 2-inch brush, dirty brush. There we go. Make a big decision here. Where's our water line? Oh, I say it's here. Here. There. Maybe it goes back a little bit there. Now I'm just pulling straight down. That's all I'm doing. Just straight down. Right. And we got our little reflections going on. I'm gonna grab a fairly clean brush here because I really don't want to drag this dirty color into my yellow water. And we're just gonna lightly come across it. That's all. Just lightly. We don't want to disturb it too much. We just want to make it light. Now, if you see what's going on here, now while I'm zoomed in, one thing you're gonna see the layers. So this mountain layer, right? That's one plane. Then you've got these background trees, these very far background trees. That's another plane. Now you've got our slightly closer midground. That's not even mid. It's still technically background. We've got our midground tree or closer background trees, right? So we're just building in layers and layers and layers. Stream it in Discord. All right. I don't know if that's going to work, DT. If I were to do both. Okay. So now we've got our small trees out of the way. Now we gotta come up with something else. So I'm gonna grab my knife. I'm gonna grab a little more brown, mix in that big pile of black. I'm gonna grab a little bit of green because maybe where we're going here, we're gonna start to see a little bit of green in some of this. Green is a mid-ground color. Green is a foreground color. It is not very often on its own a background color. You can see green a ways away, but it's gotta look a lot of blue. Little landscape. Oh, I forgot to do something here. We need to put a little land out there, maybe. Snap up some brown here. I just want dark. All right, little roll of paint. Cigar. And I'm just gonna come in here and I'm just gonna right at the base of this. Just pull it pretty flat. Pull it pretty flat across. Almost got it. There we go. Now, you got us a little bit of land back there. All right, I'm gonna grab a little bit of white, and we're gonna mix with our little mountain color there. I don't want it pure white. Very rarely are you ever gonna see me use a pure white or pure black, unless I'm doing grayscale. Yeah, right, DT. All right, get a little of that. You can see it there. It's not pure white. Hopefully that translates. And I'm just gonna come in here. I'm not highlighting this. I'm just cutting in little water lines. But I don't want them too. I don't want them too obvious. Because there we go. It'll take away too much from the foreground once we get in the foreground. But we're going to use that same color in our foreground. All right. So we need a big brush. And we need, oh, we got some paint. We might need some more. I'm going to grab a little bit of that dark skin and throw in that pile too. And that green and crimson and blue pile. I'm going to make up a whole bunch of paint here. And this is going to be a big dark mess. That's okay. That's exactly what we want. And it is to the green side, which is fine by me. All right. We're going to get our old big brush here. Oh, we'll just take this one here. It doesn't matter. Let's get one that's clean. Here we go. Tell you what, before we do that, let's grab our old dark brush here that we were doing these trees with. Let's get up a load of that paint here. And let's see. Bravery test. Here we go. Let's start here. Here we go. Now, remember how I did this before on these? I'm going to do these the same way. I'm going to push up. So I've got my trunk started there. And I'm just going to start touching the corner of the brush. Flip it over when you start getting low on paint. And look, if it helps you just to sketch it out like this, and leave the holes in there, that's fine. Because you can always come back and fill it in. And that's what I'm going to do. Kind of get the center filled in. I'm not using a ton of pressure on the brush here. I'm using a bit of pressure, but not a ton. Maybe I want him to grow out a little bit more up top. He's looking a little rickety there. I don't really want him looking like a Christmas tree, but there. We got us a tree. And well, I think he needs a friend. Oh, he needs a little taller friend. We don't want to make him the same height. Can't work out how you're so. Man, I've painted a bunch of these pictures, man, different ones, but I've painted a bunch of these things, and I just see it in my head or as I go. And in this, I'm just making it up as I go. But I appreciate you watching, and thanks for the comment, man. Sir or madam. All right. Or. Yeah. And see, we left big holes in there. That's okay. We go back and fill them in. Boom, just like that. We have a pair of trees. Not hard. Not hard. Pretty easy, right? I hope. Pretty easy. All right. Now we're going to grab the old big brush because we need some land. We need some stuff happening. We can't just have those trees just floating out like that in space, right? Oh, maybe it comes up like that. Maybe we got the little grassy knoll here. Well, let's throw in. Let's just. Oh, maybe we got one right here. We just go back and fill it in. Oh, maybe we got a little bush or something in between those trees. There's something in there. We'll get back to the big brush here. Some bushes there. Well, maybe we come down here. No. Doesn't matter. We're just dark brush. Dark brush. There we go. All right. We're just gonna reach in here. More shadows. Paint off. Don't keep pulling, Dave. We're probably going to end up covering most of that reflection up, so it's okay. All right, so we got us a couple trees and some land. Oh, we got a big brush here. We're going to load the old big brush up here. We're going to come over here, and we'll start, out in here somewhere. Now, we've got our plane here. We want to drop this one down a little bit lower. We don't want it to be on the same exact plane. So we'll come down here and we'll drop our land in down here. We'll have some bushes and whatnot here. Run out of paint again. And we'll have us another little tree here. I gotta grab some more paint. Be right back. I'm gonna grab a little black this time because I really need to darken this up a bunch. It's got a little too green on me, but that happens. And I want to darken it for even more for the very foreground. So. just squared out a little bit of ivory black, mix it into my little green pile that we've been using here. That green's okay for now, but our next tree's going to go a little darker. That's okay. I will use straight black for shadows at times, especially in the foreground. So I'm kind of thinking about shape. What does this tree shape like? I'm throwing this color in, and this is just the back side of the tree. This is just the shadow side of the tree. Right? So now we got the shadow side of the tree, shadow side of all the trees. This is mid-ground, by the way. This would be considered mid-ground. Now, I'm just throwing some extra dark in there. So that should help you visualize kind of what's going on. We're going to have a couple big leaf trees in here, and then we're going to have some bushes in front of them, right? Then we're going to come down to the water, and, well, you know, I guess we need some reflections here. Even though, again, that's probably going to be mostly covered up. There we go. Add a little reflections in there. And then we'll set our dark brush down for a minute. And I'm just going to grab a little half round. Actually, you know what? Scrap that. I'm going to grab another big brush. We're just, I do need another fan brush. I'll grab another fan brush because we need to highlight these trees, and then we'll highlight those trees. So I'm going to take my little dark color right there, and I'm going to go grab some of the Indian yellow, and I'm going to grab some cat yellow. And it should make us a nice, pretty green. Yellowy green. I don't want a lot here because, again, we're kind of in shadow, a lot of shadow. But remember, our light's coming from this side, from the right side. So all we're going to hit is basically kind of the right sides of these trees. Now, how I highlight these trees when I'm doing pine trees or evergreen trees, how I like to do it, I'm going to fix that top there. How I like to do it is, well, you know what else we could do? I'm going to grab a little Van Dyke brown, a little dark sienna, and grab just a little touch of white, not much, because we're not going to see much of this. A little bit more white. All right, I'm going to give these trees some trunks. And I'm just going to touch it in a couple places. And we're going to cover some of that up. So, I mean, you can run the whole tree if you want. Just make sure you cover some of it up. There, good enough. All right, so our little pine trees got some trunks on them. All right, so we got our nice, pretty olivey sort of highlight color. Get it where I want it really good. There we go. All right, same way we did putting these trees together. I'm gonna come in here. I'm just using the corner of the brush, just one corner of the brush, and we'll pick which one's the furthest away. We'll say this guy here is the furthest away. And remember, light's coming in from the right, so light's coming in this way. So this way, kind of diagonal out, right? And we're gonna just touch that right-hand side. And we're still using the same little push-up that we did when we made the tree. And this highlight is pretty subtle. It's not terribly obvious. What I do is I go down the side that's highlighted. I come down the side that's highlighted, and then I come back up through the middle, right? So it's dark, or it gets darker as it comes down, and then it gets even darker as it goes back up the middle, and then I'll come down the other side, and that should give us a really good highlight. That should make the tree look pretty round when you look at it real close. And then we have just a little bit of trunk showing through. We clean our brush. When I say clean our brush, I mean get clean paint. So we go back into our highlight color, clean highlight color. We're going to do the same thing. Touch, 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 touch. All right, I come back up the middle. And we're just kind of randomly touching it. And nothing special, no rhyme or reason. And then same thing on the other side. Just walk right up it. And then you get a nice round tree. All right. Clean paint. And we'll do our last little tree here. All right. All right, come back up the middle. Up the other side. And we have us a nice little round tree. That's how you do it. Or that's how I do it. That's not saying it's the right way, the only way. You do it however you like. That's the way I do it. It works for me. Actually, I'm just gonna grab a little 1-inch brush here, and um, I'm gonna just tap into my old dark color here, right here, and I'm gonna come into this yellow. Pull that. I'm pulling the brush one direction. See, pull one direction. There we go. And we got a little bush right here to highlight. I want to kind of keep these highlights out here, kind of subdued. I don't want them real bright because, man, these are still kind of far away. I want to see a little bit of outline on some of these bushes with the highlight, but I don't want to see much. All right. I know some guys, and I say guys, just painters in general. They like to, they want those highlights to be bright, and I like them bright too. But if you're actually standing on a scene like this, and you're standing back, and that's 200 yards, 150 yards away from you, and that tree's 150 feet tall. That's 100 yards away from you. You're not going to see a whole lot of detail back there. You're not going to see a whole lot of bright highlights, especially in this time of day. So there, yeah. All right. So now we're going to grab some yellow ochre into the same color. And just changing the flavor. It's still going to be kind of green. And we're going to run over to this side. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see what's going on over here. All right. Again, we're going to pick our furthest tree. So we're going to say this tree here is our furthest back tree. So we're going to highlight him first, and then we'll come back and grab this guy. All right. So corner of the brush. Think about think about your shapes. This is the part where I fail at a lot. That needs to be a little bit brighter. I'm going to grab some more cad yellow. This does need to be a little bit brighter. All right, there we go. All right. We're just kind of picking out individual branches here, or individual little clumps of leaves. Again, you know what we forgot to do? I've got something. Just a second here. I'm actually going to do something I don't normally do, but I do want to do something else first. I'm going to set these guys here. I'm going to just go into some straight Van Dyke brown here. Get some thinner. I'm sorry, I'm blocking the road there. I don't know if that's showing up very well or not. We may have to change our color here. We don't want a ton of detail in this either. Back here, or over here on this tree. And we're going to have to change the color. It's not showing up very well. That Van Dyke brown's a pretty transparent color. Give these trees a few arms. We have a couple trees back in here. There's a little forest back in there. All right. Now, like I said, this is something I don't normally do, but I'm going to grab a little bit of liquid white. And I'm going to put in here because I want to lighten this up a little bit. Be right back. I'm just dipping the tips of my bristles in some liquid white. I want to lighten this up. And I want to thin it down a little bit. All right. There we go. So we got that one highlighted. Now we're going to pull through the liquid white and the yellow ochre. So we're going to get this kind of a gold color on this tree here. So it's a little different than this other one, so it sticks out. It's a little different. I'm going to maybe grab a little red in there too. Just again, just to make it a little different. Here we go. So those guys are highlighted. I'm gonna grab some green because I want to darken this down a little bit because this stuff's all gonna be in shadow. And it's gonna look a little more brown. All right. My brush display out a little bit. All right. We're gonna leave this area in here kind of dark because that's gonna be underneath the canopy of the trees, so it's gonna be dark back in there. And so in here we want to start picking out individual little bushes. We want to kind of paint them in one at a time. And we're just kind of hitting the tops of these things, kind of giving a little indication that there's something there. Again, we're not looking for a ton of detail, just that we can see a little something back there. Got a little bit of grass there or something. Here we go. Now, we need to add a little land under here. Let's set this brush down. Set this big brush down and try to carry it. I do that all the time. Have a brush in my hand and I always have one in one hand. Don't ask. All right. We'll just grab some of that dark that we already have made up. Clean the spot off on my palette here. I'm running out of room. Need a spot to work. All right. I just took our little dark background color here. And it don't matter. We're just going to make a little bit of land with this. So on this side, we want to pull it this way. On this side, we want to pull it this way. All right? And we're just going to, we're pulling it kind of flat. enough. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Except we're pulling the opposite direction. Just pulling the opposite direction. That's all. There we go. Now we're going to grab a little bit of this burnt sienna, a little bit of Van Dyke brown, what little bit we got left. Stretch them out. Grab a little bit of white. Not a ton. Grab a little bit of white. We're going to pull them out. We're going to leave them kind of, leave it marble. Cut off our little roll of paint there. And then we're going to come in here. We're going to give this land just a little bit of, we'll make the dirt look a little bit. And we're not using any pressure here, just like we're doing, just like we did on the mountains. And we'll come back and we'll pretty that up here in just a second. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Although I'm better pulling the other way. I'm better pulling this way on this than I am pulling across this way. But we're just kind of grazing it. Sorry if I'm in the way. You can't see. I'm trying to be out of your way here. And kind of see what I'm doing. There we go. Oh, I just made a little dirt. That's all. That looks a little bit better. All right. Find a paper towel and get my knife cleaned off here. There we go. All right. Oh, need that booger back. We got to cut in water line. All right. Here we go. We want to keep this pretty flat. Just like that. Same thing here. And we're just so the trick in this, when you're doing these water lines and you're not using liquid white, I don't like to use liquid white because it gets everywhere. And I guess if you're mixing down with it, it's okay. Here, let's try it. I'll show you. I'm just going to grab a little bit of liquid white here. And I'm going into my little very light peach color. And I'm just going to thin that down just a little bit with the liquid white. So when you're doing these, I got to show you. When you're doing these water lines, you pull your paint out flat. Lay your knife at a really, really steep angle or a really shallow angle like this, and just slide it across. And then you end up sliding off right on the edge of the knife, and that's what you want. Is you want that paint literally in the edge of the knife. And that's why I don't like to use liquid white. That reason right there. All right. Need a soft brush. That's what I'll do. There. Good enough. All right. That's why I don't like using liquid white, because it gets too thick and it's too hard to control. All right. Actually, and I should have done myself a favor and used a little knife instead. Because a little knife can just sneak in and get these. Put these little water lines in places. All right. Screw it. I don't care. All right. Now, we got some big foreground stuff to fill in. I'm going back to my big dark brush. So, like I said, we're probably going to end up covering up most of that. And that don't matter. You can just, like Bob used to say, you can just paint this with a roller just about. We're out of color. Real quick stop here. Mix up some more color. There we go. All right. Now, if there's anything, a little painter's trick, if there's anything on these edges that you don't like, Here is where you cover them up. Realistically, you want to, the whole idea in composition is you want to force the eye into the painting. And the way you force the eye into the painting is you block off the sides. And you block off the sides in the foreground. So there's other ways to do it, but that's one of the more common ways to chop off the sides to force force the viewer into the painting. Your call, what you want to do. I think I'm just going to go big bushes here. Why not? Because I kind of like my little trees and everything. I don't want them to be the same height. So thankfully they're now not the same height. This bush is higher than this bush. Okay. Nope, let's get the highlight. Set the old big brush down. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna grab that old big brush back. No. I'm gonna grab this other big brush. And I'm gonna be right back. Touching a little bit of liquid white. I really don't like to do this, but I'm going to. All right. Now, it is absolutely okay to leave a bunch of dark here. Absolutely okay. I'm just saying that's a bunch of just grass. A bunch of really tall reed grass or something. I'm not even trying to pick out any individual bushes. I might pick out a little bush here and there, but for the most part, I'm saying that's just some kind of reeds or whatever. I'm not real happy with how this bush turned out, but you know what? It's okay. I'm not here painting bushes, demonstrating bushes. It was trees, mountains, and clouds tonight. We just happened to paint some bushes along the way. My whole job out here wasn't painting bushes. I'm the first to admit I'm not a good bush painter. I'm just going to add a little color to that. A little color to that. A little grass here. There we go. So, big thing we learned, hopefully, tonight. Clouds. Look, if your clouds are too light, let me zoom out. So look, if you start out, your clouds are too light, you can always darken them up. Don't forget, stir them up. Be free with your fan brush or whatever brush you decide you want to use to put your clouds in. Don't stay in one spot for too long. Mountains. Remember, the top is all we're worried about. The rest of it we could care less about when we're putting the mountain, when we're shaping the mountain. We don't care what the top. We just care what the top looks like, because we're going to scrape it and then we're going to pull that paint with a big 2-inch brush, and we're going to smear that paint out everywhere. Right? And we come in. First thing we do, where is our light coming from? Where is our light source? We pick this way tonight. Maybe the next time we pick the other way. Right? Pick which direction our light's coming in, and then we highlight there. When we do our shadows, whatever angle we pulled our highlight, we pull our shadows opposite. So this highlight went this way, our shadow went that way. Right? The whole thing doesn't need shadow, right? The shadow's there to make it pop, to make it look 3D, to add separation. So you can see the separation between this color and the shadow color, right? And then we added in these background trees. So we got all these grayer background trees. They're way off, they're pretty far off in the distance. Then we came in with these darker ones. And we even added a little shape to them. So we kind of gave them the normal tree treatment. We added a little bit of land, a little bit of water line there. Just make it interesting. Just give the eye something to look at. And then we came in with our big trees, oh, thanks, Cedar. Our orders, sorry. Thanks, orders. And we came in with our big trees, our big leaf trees, and our big evergreen trees. These are mid-ground trees, though. These aren't foreground trees. So we're not seeing a whole big bundle of detail on these, but that's okay. That's a lot of the trees you're going to paint are mid-ground trees. So then we came into the foreground. We just threw some bushes, and because quite frankly, I'm tired. It's been a long week. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you learned a little something, learned some of the techniques. I tried to explain them as I go. That's why this took 2.5 hours instead of maybe an hour. Because I wanted to make sure that I explained every step of the way. And exactly how to do every step. And I know there's people out there that are struggling. So this is for you guys. So I hope you get something out of it. Thanks for watching. Give that, hit the bell, ring the bell, all that stuff. Subscribe, please. It'd be great. Let's grow this thing. Anyway, I'm Dave. Picks and Paints. Be good or be good at it. If you cannot be good, always be good at it.